Hello. Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Arkansas. This is Amber.
This is Lisa.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I'm sorry. I made her laugh before we started. We were
right before.
We were talking about my misuse of the word comprehensive and how we can make a comprehensive list of all the words, towns, and phrases we have, mispronounced. So, but actually, I didn't mispronounce comprehensive. I just misused
the
that
meaning.
one. I missed the meaning of that. So, yes. And then somebody on Facebook caught me, and I think I really upset them for misusing that word. So I will never do such again. Yeah. Right, epitome?
Such a bad girl. Epitome.
If you don't know what we mean by epitome, go back to what episode is that?
Well, that was the Sandra Williams. I'm not sure which number.
Well, that's what started
we have
the
so
epitome.
many numbers. We have so many numbers. Yes.
Speaking of which, we've got people all the time that are asking us, have we done this? Have we done that? And, we are trying to figure out a way to create a comprehensive list. And this is the correct way to use it because this is the list of all the episodes for you guys to look at and see what we've already done, listen to all the things. So we're going to try to make it easier for you guys. So there's that. Also, we wanted to talk to you guys about t-shirts. Lisa is the t-shirt girl, even though she never wears them. I'm the one that wears the t-shirts.
I'm the pusher, and
she's the t-shirt pusher.
I'm running the what do you call it? Our boutique, our t-shirt boutique.
Oh my God, we have a boutique.
I am really excited for all the people that have purchased. So many t-shirts have gone out, but if you want a t-shirt, go check out our website. So yes, and it is cool. What is the website? Remind me. Is it Squarespace for? I don't know. Amber, tell them.
Here, okay. You put me on the spot here because I don't have it saved. Hold on, I'll have to look it up really fast.
But also, do you want me to mention the Patreon? Or are you going to mention the Patreon?
Yeah, while I'm looking that up, you can mention Patreon.
Okay. So, big shout out. We have a new Patreon member in the past day or so, and her name is Megs, and she is from Canada. I'm so excited to say that.
Canada.
She's very active now on our Facebook group, so shout out to you, Megs. We are so appreciative of you for finding us.
I love that name, Megs. Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So yay to Megs and being on our Patreon and YouTube. So. Yes.
Okay, so our website is unexplainedarkansas.squarespace.com.
Okay, great. Yay.
Yes.
And so yeah, and we'll So buy a t-shirt, join us on Patreon.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so today is our 45th episode. So we're 5 episodes away from the big 5-0, and we'll have a little mini celebration for the big 5-0. Maybe that will coincide with our first meet and greet. That would be cool. Yeah. And then we could have like a golden, what is that, a golden anniversary where we could, have a cake. I don't know, like the 50th.
Oh, yeah. We can get a cake. Remember you got an eclipse cake. That was funny.
Yeah.
we can get a big 50th cake.
Yeah, a big 50. Yeah.
50th episode. I'm excited.
Yes.
Nobody thought we'd make it this far.
Well,
our husbands didn't think we
would make it this far. Yes. Let's just say that. And our kids were like, "Mom, whatever." So
we're just.
And now we have more followers than our kids.
Oh yes, a lot. A lot. They're jealous.
Yes, they are.
So yeah.
The other day, Bo looked at me and he's like, "Mom, do you really have 11,000 people following your Facebook?" And I said, "Yes, I do. How many do you have?" So there we go.
There you go.
Okay,
we have more than all their socials combined. So.
We probably do.
Maybe.
Okay, so tell me about 45. What are we doing today? Because this is all you.
Yes. So this is a serious one. And this was told to me when we first got into this. My friend Julie in Jonesboro told me that we must cover Amanda Tusing case. And I knew nothing about it. absolutely nothing. So today, this episode, we're finally covering Amanda Tusing, and it is the murder of Amanda Tusing, and it's a sad one. So, and
Goodness.
we'll kind of, yeah, it's sad. So we'll get rolling. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So it begins on the night of June 14th in the year 2000. 20-year-old Amanda Renee Tusing, who went by Mandy, or evidently she had a nickname, Sprout.
Okay.
Sprout. She left her fiance's apartment in Jonesboro, Arkansas, to drive the 1 hour home to Dell, Arkansas.
Where is that?
Dell is, it looked like it was south of Jonesboro. It's very close to, and we'll kind of talk about this, but it's very close to the Missouri state line, actually. It's 1 hour, 44 miles away from Jonesboro. So it's kind of in that sector of the state. And we'll talk about that further. Okay, but she was traveling home from Jonesboro to her home in Dell, but she would never make it home.
No.
Mm-hmm. So, Mandy, and I'm going to call her Mandy from here on out, okay?
Okay.
So, Mandy was born December 6th, 1979. So, she is like about a year older than me. Maybe a little less. So, this hit home. And she is remembered to be outgoing. She was sporty. She was feisty. And she was petite. So, she was very... I don't know if that's where the Sprout came from. I don't know.
Could be.
But she was very petite. So she was also a twin. So she had a twin brother named Andy.
Aw, Mandy and Andy. That's
I
cute.
know. Isn't that cute? And then she did have another brother who was older, and his name was Adam. And then her parents' names are Ed and Susan Tusing. So Mandy, as you can see, is their only girl. So I'm sure she was like, when you have boys and then a girl,
I wouldn't know what that's like.
You don't
I just
and
have a million boys.
You do. 1 million. So it says, although Mandy was small, it said that she had a lot of power and a little package. Evidently, she was one of those kind of, small, but like a firecracker type of person. I'm sure, and I would think just having brothers would kind of make you, scrappy. She kind of had to hold her own, so to speak. So I'm sure the brothers, were fighting or how they do. So, So it does say that Mandy graduated from Gosnell High School, although she actually lived in Dell. And Dell is tiny. I mean, it is tiny. So, and it is.
Now, do you say that Gosnell or Gosnell? Because I thought my husband used to say Gosnell. I don't know.
I have no clue.
Yeah.
I said Gosnell.
Might be Gosnell. I don't know.
Gosnell. He would know probably better than me because I had never even heard of Dell. But Dell is tiny. And it is in that northeast part of our state, extremely close to the Missouri state line, like minutes, and also very close to like Tennessee, Mississippi. So it's just, it's kind of in the, I don't know what you call that, tri-state area ish. The population in the year 2000 and really in 2010 and, currently ranged from about 200 to 250 people. I mean, we're talking small. Like, how many people live in Pangburn? Do you know?
Pangburn? Like 600? Yeah.
Okay, so it is a third of Pangburn. So this kind of explains to me why, I'm thinking Dell is so small it doesn't even have its own school. So that's why she went to this Gosnell or whatever.
Gosnell, yeah.
I'm sure people will tell us how to pronounce that.
Who's right, me or Lisa?
Tell us. Yeah, we want to know. So, and also another thing about Dell that I found interesting, the whole town is less than a mile in size. So we're talking this whole town fits in a mile, like a square mile. And And I'm guessing this, evidently this Gosnell, she had to commute. It was about 8 miles, it looked like, to get to school. So very rural area. So in school, it said that she played numerous sports. It said that she was very sporty. And one of the items that I read mentioned that she was captain of her basketball team. So not only was she sporty, she was outgoing. She, was well liked, obviously. So, and the pictures we did put, our picture is our, I guess, thumbnail picture or whatever of her. She is so adorable.
Yes,
like she
definitely.
does look like a Mandy to me. I don't know, but she just looks
What does a
so
Mandy
friendly.
look like? Do I look like an Amber?
Yeah, I mean, you do, just because that's what you are.
Yes.
You really look like an Amby.
Yeah,
so,
whatever.
But yeah, she really looked friendly. She looked really friendly and happy, and it just kills me because we're like right at that age. And I remember, she was 20 in 2000, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, so in June of 2000, it said that Mandy was attending classes at a local community college. It didn't say which one or anything. One article mentioned that she had already received her associate's degree, but that she
awesome.
but that she was working in a veterinary clinic, and she was aspiring to be a veterinarian someday. Like that was what she wanted to do. So she was working in a vet clinic, I'm sure, as like a vet assistant. And it says that she loved animals. Like she just absolutely loved animals. Any animal. She was just all about it. She was also engaged. So she was engaged. Her fiance's name was Matt, and it said that they had been together a total of 5 years. So we're talking, so she was 15 whenever she and Matt got together, and they had evidently, it had said that they had been engaged for a few months, and that the actual wedding that they were planning was like the following June of 2001. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but then I thought, well, me and Daryl dated for 4 years altogether, but that included the engagement time. But like I had a long engagement. So that's not too weird, is it?
No.
I mean, it's just, yeah. Maybe they were waiting for her to like finish whatever program she was in. So, or him, who knows? They may have put it, especially since they had already been together 5 years already. So anyway, so on the night of June 14th, Mandy had been hanging out in Jonesboro where her fiance Matt lived. So Jonesboro is about 45 miles away from Dell, and would take about 50 or so minutes, depending on traffic and whatnot, to make that drive from her home to like his home. Okay. And so it said that night, it was just pretty average, that she went over there in the afternoon and they went out to dinner, and then they had come back to Matt's apartment, and they basically, chilled and watched TV. And she had one thing said that she had kind of fallen asleep for a little bit. But at around 11:30, it said that, she was ready to make the drive home. So she was still living at home, and she did have a 1 a.m. curfew. So that was something that was in the back of her head. And also, evidently, she needed to get up in the morning. Now, there was kind of two different discrepancies. Some of the articles said that she had to get home, to wake up for class in the morning. And then some of the articles said that she had work in the morning. So this was June. So I was thinking probably work, but who knows? She could have been maybe taking some summer classes or whatever. But either way, she was wanting to get home. I will say it had been storming that day and that evening. And Matt didn't want her to make that drive. Like, he wanted her to just stay the night. That was what he was asking her to do. But she decided to go ahead and, she wanted to get home. She had to wake up early in the morning. So she wanted to go ahead and just go. So according to most of the reports, she was supposed to call Matt when she got home, which would have, maybe probably been about 12:30 that night. Well, so Matt was waiting around for her phone call, and when she didn't call, he wasn't necessarily concerned with the rain. I'm sure he thought that it was taking longer, but by 1:30, she still hadn't phoned him. And so according to some of the reports, he was the one to call her house and got Susan, her mom, on the phone. So there was a little bit of discrepancy.
So they quickly knew that she was missing.
Yeah, and some of the things said that Susan always knew, like always kind of, I don't think she necessarily waited up for Mandy, but some of the articles said that she kind of had gotten up and noticed that Mandy hadn't made it home and called him. But for the most part, it looked like Matt had called Susan. So, and Susan, of course, got up, went to Mandy's room, didn't find her there, immediately upset. Like, this was not normal. Like, she would, and evidently when Mandy would come home, even if it was late, she would always kiss her mom goodnight. Isn't that so cute? I always ask for Elle to do that too. I'm like, come kiss me goodnight and grab Paris. Anyway, because I don't want Paris sleeping with me. So either way, so Susan looked, Mandy wasn't home. So Ed, Mandy's dad, he worked nights, okay? So Susan was immediately upset, and she calls Ed at work, and she asked him to come home. So they're panicking. This is just, I can't even imagine. I would be like, where's my baby? So he decided to go, like, he grabbed Andy, her twin. So they talked to Matt, okay? So they decided to start driving in Matt's direction, and Matt was going to start driving in their direction to see if they could.
Yeah,
yes,
that's very smart.
If they could find her on the road. So the highway that runs between the two towns is Highway 18. So this is what they're doing. So Matt, according to most of the reports, Matt is going to reach Mandy's car first. And it says that Mandy's car, so he found her 1992 Pontiac Grand Am, and it was black in color. So he came upon it, and it said that this is 1 mile, it was found 1 mile west of a town called Monette. Okay.
Okay.
Do you know Monette?
Yeah.
Okay. So I do not, but evidently Monette, so kind of, she had made it about halfway home. Okay. So her car was parked right under a street light, kind of right on the highway, kind of pulled over, and it was right under a street light there. So they did notice, and of course Matt calls Ed to meet him, so they meet, but her car, was unlocked, like the key was in the engine, but the car was off, but the key was in the engine. Her half empty can of Coke, she had grabbed a Coke from somewhere. A lot of speculation came around this Coke can. They're not sure if she got it from Matt's or if she maybe got it from a convenience store on the way. Yeah. So, but she had a half empty can of Coke in the cup holder of her car, and it was still cold. Oh wow. And that was the point that they made. And then her windshield wipers, it was raining that night, and it was like basically stopped in the middle. You know how when you turn off your car immediately, like how they just
suddenly stop and they stop. Yeah.
Yes. And so Matt, thinking that something was wrong with her car, like evidently they turned it on. He turned it on, and the car came right on, and it was playing like her favorite radio set. Like everything was normal. Obviously the only, sadly, I should say, the only thing missing was Mandy. Like everything was in the car, and she did have a cell phone in the car. It did say the cell phone battery was dead. So,
I was going to ask about the cell phone situation because I'm trying to remember, and it's been a minute since 2000, so I know I had a cell phone, but I don't remember.
You had a cell phone. We had a cell phone.
Yeah.
Because I had a cell phone my senior year.
Were we still on you could talk after a certain time at night for free? Okay, yeah.
Yes. So it would have been but evidently it was I think her mother said in reports that it was very normal for Mandy's cell phone battery to be dead.
Oh, like mine.
So she must. Yeah, I was thinking she must be related to you. But in my head, I'm thinking, I'm trying to think because I do know. We did have those. Remember, you could plug you had to plug in your charger into a lighter. Remember your cell phone charger? So
well,
I don't know
my car still has one of those.
You have a cigarette lighter?
Well,
in your car?
It's you plug the little thing in there. Yeah.
That is wild.
It's a Forerunner.
I don't think I have one.
I guess people that have those smoke. I don't know. But I don't know.
That's very interesting. But
yeah.
Now I remember like that's kind of how you had to charge, back then, but so maybe she just didn't have a cord, it was very early cell phone usage, but evidently her cell phone battery was normally dead, so that was not abnormal.
Just like it wouldn't be abnormal for me. You'd be like, I told her to charge that thing. Yeah.
Yes, but I've told you to keep a charger in your car.
Yes. I do until my teenager steals it, but it's in there, I have one in there from time to time, but then Bo will go up and be like, oh, Mom has a charger in her car. Mm-hmm. I'll steal it. Yeah.
I'll try to get like a four pack of them, but I think Elle has 2 or 3 in her car. I have 2 or 3 in mine because it never fails that people get in and they need to charge, like Amber.
Yes, that's true. The first thing I say a lot of the time is, hey, can I use your charger?
Mm-hmm. Charger, that's like a thing now.
So
but
I gotta say this real fast.
Okay.
I'm in a new chair, and that's why I'm sure people are hearing these weird noises. I do not have any external issues today, but that was really loud. No, that was really loud. I'm like, I gotta say something about this chair. But yes, I'm in a new chair, and it keeps making these like grr sounds every time I move. So
that's your disclosure.
That's my disclosure. I should have said that at the beginning of the episode, but I'll try to be still so I won't do that.
Okay. Well, back to Mandy. So, because now I've gotten off track. But anyway, okay. So again, everything was cool except for her not being there, which was alarming. So Matt did call. I guess he was able to call Ed on his cell phone. So he asked Ed and Andy to meet him in Monette so that they could call the police. So immediately this was like, just very upsetting. So it says that the Craighead County Sheriff's Department showed up, and immediately, like between them and the family and then even neighboring farmers, they all started fanning out and searching immediately around the vehicle. And really, just immediately, even though she hadn't been gone very long, it says that they couldn't file like report, quote unquote, but immediately they started to search. So it was immediate action on that. They were focusing at first all around that area. So fields, whatever, they were looking everywhere. They were calling in everyone. They still weren't finding Mandy. The family and Matt, they printed out flyers, immediately, probably like the next day. Like they were getting them out throughout the area and just in hopes that someone would be able or could identify Mandy. So this was worked it doesn't say anything other than the Craighead County Sheriff's Office. It doesn't say anything about getting the Arkansas State Police involved. So I thought that was interesting. There will come up a more point because they do get the FBI involved, but it is, and I believe they were kind of close. So Dell is actually in Mississippi County, but I guess where her car was Craighead. So Craighead was like the lead as far as the crime, or so to speak, but right. I believe that they had Mississippi County sheriffs helping them as well. So again, obviously this is
so all over the place. I'm going to have to look at a map while you're talking.
Okay. So the police were obviously looking deep into everyone connected to Mandy.
Right.
And like the usual, who do you think that they were looking at the closest?
Usually it's a spouse or a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. So they evidently looked deeply into, her fiance, Matt, evidently, and her parents, like, they never, they just had nothing but kind things to say about Matt or whatever. And they did look deeply into Matt, just to say. that. So on June 18th, so it happened on the 14th, very late. So basically the 15th was when they actually found her car. So 3 days later, it was June 18th, and it was Father's Day. So a couple named Trent and Fonda Davis were returning to their home in Lester, Arkansas. So they had been spending the day in Jonesboro. And it was still a heavy rain. So it was still raining a lot. And just remember, rain, rain, rain. So it was a heavy rain coming down, again, just like it had been going on. And they were driving really slowly because of the rain. So they drove over what was called the Twin Bridges on Arkansas Highway 135. And so Fonda, I wanted to call her Rhonda. Fonda, evidently, when they passed over this bridge, which was over this ditch area, she saw a pair of what she thought were jeans floating in this big bay ditch. Okay. So fearing it was more than just jeans, she had her husband Trent pull over so they could check it out. Okay. So according to one report, Trent went to check it out while Fonda remained in the car. And after a minute or two, after he was able to check it out, he came back and told Fonda to drive home and call 911 because sure enough, there was a body attached to those jeans she saw. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh, that's awful. That's absolutely awful.
Like, poor Trent and Fonda. And this is Father's Day.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it says, so Trent was going, he had Fonda go call evidently because he was going to stay there until the police showed up. And again, this is, bad weather, just been bad weather. Evidently a very, I don't know if this was like a normal or maybe like more springish June for them. So the sheriff's office went to the scenes kind of suspecting, they had been searching for Mandy. So immediately they felt like this would be her. And as soon as they got there, they did recognize her as Mandy. So the sheriff's department kind of knew. And their thoughts would be confirmed as soon as they found the body because Mandy's driver's license was in the pocket of her jeans.
Oh my gosh.
And evidently this was common for her to do. So she just kind of would stick her driver's license in her jeans so she didn't really have to deal with a purse or something. I don't know. I've done it.
Yeah, me too. Sounds like me.
Well, really, and I'm really bad to just forget about my driver's license. Just grab my debit card. I'll admit it. So
yeah.
And this is this as a side note. So one of the podcasts I listened to had a little differing description of what happened, which I thought was really weird. So this one podcast, it said that the Davises got out of the car to investigate the side of the jeans, and they found blood in the body. And
What? How many days was this?
Yeah, this was 3 days, and I'll tell you this is not accurate, and you'll know why here in a little bit. So I don't know where, I did all of the references are in the show notes or whatever, or will be in the show notes. So anywho, I don't know why that podcast or where they got that information from, but it's definitely wrong on that part. So it just doesn't make sense at all with any of the manner of death and autopsy results. So additionally, so what I read stated that Mandy was found fully clothed, but I will say so a lot of articles said that she was fully clothed, but one article stated that in new information that her shirt was missing. So I don't know. And I'll just say this is an open, ongoing case. I cannot get an FOIA request like I would normally, and drive the state of Arkansas crazy. But so I'm having to rely on articles and such. So I thought that was interesting that most of them said that she was fully clothed, but then new information that's been out said that she did not have her shirt. Her shirt was missing. That's weird. So her body showed no, like, upon her coming out of the water, the ditch where she was found, her body did not show any signs of visible wounds or any indication of the manner of death upon sight. Okay? Okay.
Yep. I'm here. I'm listening. Okay. I'm just very intrigued. So go ahead.
So Mandy's body ended up being found where it was. It ended up being about 12 or 13 miles from where her car was.
Oh my gosh.
That's huge.
That really is.
Yes. I mean, that's kind of, obviously someone had to get her there. So, and it was located in the opposite direction that she had been going. Okay. So this bridge on this highway, that I believe it was 135 in the twin bridges and the big, what was that? The big Bay ditch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was completely opposite.
I'm looking at it all on a map right now while you're talking.
So it was completely opposite. So Mandy's father would kind of later be interviewed in a segment by K8TV. And he was still just super emotional. And this was a recent interview. But he just stated that this was the worst Father's Day, of course. And that he missed, he was asked, do you miss Mandy on Father's Day? And he's like, I miss my daughter every single day. And he said, and he thinks all the time, this is so sad. He thinks all the time of the woman that she would have been, right. And I'm just thinking how devastating, and just knowing I don't know, she didn't get married or have her little kids. Like he pictured her, as a wife and a mother and,
right.
Anywho, so it was just so touching. Her little dad was so touching. But anyway, so the sheriff's department really hoped that Mandy's body would clue them into what happened to her, like what happened, who could have done it. They were really hoping that it would clue them in. The bad part is, so again, all this rain.
Yeah.
So
yep. I
all
was just about to ask that.
Mm-hmm. They had just, again, not sure if this was just a late spring situation, but they were having a lot of water.
I don't know. We had a lot of rain this June.
We did.
Yeah, we had a lot.
I felt like we had
more than usual.
Yeah, like May and June was pretty wet here. And normally it's like March and April, So, yeah. So the medical examiner showed 0 wounds other than a slight contusion on the back of her head.
Oh my gosh.
And they said that could have even been post-mortem. Like, so it wasn't even the type of hit that would kill you, okay? It was not. There were evidently no signs of sexual assault. So no signs of sexual assault. Now, this is a little bit weird, and there's kind of different things, but she had water in her nostrils, but she did not have water in her lungs. Okay.
Is that possible?
It is. It is possible. It's possible to even have a drowning, and sometimes they call it a dry drowning.
Now, I have heard of that. Yes.
Mm-hmm, yes. But they do say it is possible, but it's still weird and inconclusive.
Right.
So nothing appeared to be stolen from her body. Okay. So in fact, her engagement ring was still on her finger. So, I mean, it wasn't like a robbery, and it didn't appear or have any sexual component to it either. So it's like,
and she was 13 miles away.
Yeah. 12 to 13 miles away from her car, which was obviously the last, place that she was alive that they know of. So they figured based on the proximity of her body to her vehicle that she was murdered because, but really it couldn't be determined in a definitive way. But they did, it was just, they were trying to think, okay, it obviously wasn't suicide. So they're going through all of these many many routes that they're having to look at. The toxicology report also came back as unconclusive as well. So there wasn't anything, misleading there or indicating of anything in the toxicology. So they did announce to the public that they felt her death was definitely a homicide, and they figured at that point they ruled out like suicide. And then of course the people close to her, they said that perhaps, they were thinking, well, maybe she stopped on the side of the road due to the weather, and perhaps someone pulled over beside her, or maybe pretended to be law enforcement and pulled behind her. So either way, both Mississippi County and Craighead County were telling drivers to be extremely wary of this and don't let anyone pull you over and such.
Where was this in the big scope of the blue light rapist days?
And that's where I was going. So in the area, yes, but the blue light rapist had been convicted and jailed in 1997.
That's right. Okay.
So this definitely wasn't Robert Cunningham.
Right. Because
it definitely wasn't him.
Could it have been a copycat?
Exactly. That was my thinking. And yes, could it be someone else? Because this did happen. And in fact, Susan, Mandy's mom, had always told Mandy to pull over in a well-lit area because, when Mandy started driving, that's exactly when the blue light rapist was active.
Right.
And so she was kind of like us.
That's when we were driving.
Yes. And she was Craighead County, all of those areas, what was it? Like Lee County and such, that's where Cunningham was operating. He was really all over, even into Lonoke County, but definitely in the area.
Do you see parallels with this case and the one you did a few weeks ago with the Sandra Williams? Or Sandra Williams?
And that's another thing we'll talk about, because they draw a parallel between another case that was similar and we'll talk about.
Okay.
So and then that will outline what I think too.
Okay.
But in my head, after this, in this realm of the report, I'm thinking, is this a copycat person? That was the first thing that came into my mind. And it definitely seemed, I'm sorry, I'm not very good driving in general, but much less at night and when it's raining.
You. You have made me chauffeur you around since we were 16. So.
That's true. I like a good driver, but if it was raining hard, I would pull over. You know what I'm saying? And I've always told Elle, if it's raining so hard that you can't see or you're worried, pull over for a minute. Let it slacken. Anyway, in my head, I was thinking, that's not
scary.
Weird.
Yeah, it was so scary. Yeah. When that would happen when I was a new driver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And especially with everything going on with that blue light rapist. But yeah, he would not have been a factor in her mind.
Right.
Because if she was keeping up with the news, she knew that the blue light rapist was convicted and in jail. So at that time. But she definitely, to me, could have pulled over because of the rain, or someone being a copycat for sure. But anywho, so moving forward, the sheriff's department did have numerous leads and rumors and people, coming forward. You can imagine, this is people, there was probably 600 plus leads coming in for them to follow. And of course they were looking at Matt.
Man,
so specifically.
I hate to say it again, but I'm just getting deja vu from the Sandra Williams. I was saying Kirk, because I was thinking of the Kirk that was the cold case too. I was getting her and his names mixed up, because there's also a Kirk, Douglas Kirk cold case in our area. But Sandra Williams, this is just definitely, it's just giving me deja vu.
Yes.
We had this same conversation literally a few weeks ago.
Yes, what? Yes, because it's very deja vu-y with that one.
It is. So it is.
Yeah, and you can hear me say epitome in that.
Yeah, that is the epitome episode. One. Yeah, that's true.
Twice. Okay,
twice.
So
not once, twice.
Right, twice. It does say that fiance Matt, he was polygraphed 3 separate times, according to what I found, and he passed all the polygraphs. So again, he was kind of quickly, cleared as far as him being involved. And Mandy's parents, they said they never have suspected him. Even in the later interview, Ed stated what a fine young man he was, and he loved Mandy, and he was just extremely good to her always. So in their heads, he had, absolutely nothing to do with this. In fact, Mandy's mother, Susan, this is Susan, and this is a mom. So I feel like, does mommy always know best? Probably no. But Mandy's...
I believe wholeheartedly in mother's intuition.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do.
So her feelings are important to me, I think. But she said, in fact, Susan really felt like Mandy was pulled over by law enforcement or someone pretending to be, based on the fact
that's what I think. Mm-hmm. And I, just listening to it, just guessing, mm-hmm. that would be that would be where I would go to, because what would make me pull over at 20 years old on the side of the road? Nothing but law enforcement. But then again, during that time period, we were also shook up by the blue light rapist, so it was an interesting time period to be alive, to be a driver, in that
and
time
a
period.
Woman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a woman.
And you're just kind of like, oh. But yeah, I mean, she really felt like where Mandy's car was under that street light, because that's what she always told Mandy to do, like pull over in a safe place that was well lit. So, again, because of that time frame, that she was driving. So she, her mom was concerned. So, and Mandy would have been concerned too. And I do really feel like even if someone didn't pull her over or flag her down, she could have just pulled over and then the wrong person still, and she thought they were, law enforcement. So anywho, so comparisons were definitely being made at that time to the blue light rapist. Also at the time, witnesses were coming forward saying that they had encountered people trying to pull them over by flashing lights at them, kind of in that same area.
Right.
And then one witness said that he saw Mandy pulled over on the side of the road that night, and it was a Craighead sheriff's car behind her. This is what one witness. Yes, this is what one witness said.
That's a huge statement right there.
That is, yes.
That's huge.
Yes. And
did they discount this statement, or what happened with that?
Well, okay, so it says that the podcast that mentioned this stated that they did not know at what point this witness came forward. And law enforcement did look into the fact that it could have been law enforcement, so that they were open and looking at every avenue. And they even looked into an unnamed sheriff's officer that had responded that night and was on duty the night that they found her car. And they investigated him and found zero evidence to tie this officer, and they never named him or anything, so they were looking at every avenue. So they did clear this lead or this situation, okay?
Right.
But they were actively looking into every single bit that came by. So in 2001, so about a year later, Mandy's family did want to, because there's still no leads, nothing going on. Her case is growing, colder by the second. So the family wanted for Unsolved Mysteries to cover Mandy's case, which Unsolved Mysteries was willing to, but at that time, Matt would not agree to be on the show. So the following year, in 2002, Matt did agree for a phone interview, but that wasn't what Unsolved Mysteries wanted. So that never aired. So
I don't blame him. I mean, that's a lot of press, that's a lot of attention.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and especially, I will say, I mean, I totally understand her parents' point of view. Of course, they just want as much coverage as possible, and I don't blame them. But I'm sure for him, that was really fresh. So
yeah, definitely.
And anywho, so I see it from both points of view, how they would be understanding but frustrated about it. But yeah. So an article stated in the Craighead County Sheriff's Department did reach out to the FBI for help. Like I said, I couldn't see anything that alluded to them getting like the Arkansas State Police involved, but they did reach out to the FBI, and the FBI put together a profile of the person. That's what they really wanted from the FBI. And the FBI said it was a white male, age 40 to 50, and that they felt like the individual definitely lived in the area and knew the area. And I would definitely agree.
So 40 to 50, that was 20 years, 24 years ago.
In 2000.
In 2000. Okay, go ahead.
So if that was accurate, this person would be in their 60s now or 70s. And that they, he definitely knew. And they felt like this person was also a repeat kind of murderer or serial killer. Like, that's what they felt like.
Seriously?
That's
oh my
what
gosh,
they said.
That is so scary.
I know.
I mean,
in Arkansas.
Yeah, well, in Arkansas, and the fact that...
And to know the area. So that means that...
Yeah, so he would have to know
done
the area.
That over and over in that area. Ugh. That is very creepy.
So what cases like that
Well, and
happened?
they did look, and we'll get into that soon, promise.
Okay.
So in 2003, the family had a spark of hope. So there was a tip that came into the sheriff's office that someone had stated that they heard that someone had slipped a note into Mandy's coffin that stated what had happened to her, like who had done it. In an effort to follow every single lead, they did exhume her, but they found nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that horrific? Like, already, this is terrible. And then this tip comes in, and I'm sure the families are like, yeah, like, we'll do anything to...
Yeah.
I mean, you have to find out. You have to.
Yeah. Gosh.
Can you imagine?
Whoever started that rumor, what? Oh my gosh.
I know. Like, I would have been, as her mother, brother, what? Oh my goodness. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I was.
It's just so mind-boggling. I mean, it's just
horrific.
horrific.
For you to say that. Like I said, I have read nothing about this, so that just infuriates me that somebody would cause that. And I know how rumors are. I know it starts, you know how rumors, and sometimes I've said this, that usually a lot of rumors stem from just a tiny kernel of the truth. Sometimes. Sometimes they don't, but,
And you appreciate the fact that, I mean, you've got to find out. You just have to, you know. I mean, you don't want to be dismissive, and then what if it's true,
Yeah.
So, but gosh, that just sucks. That is horrific. I just hate that. So in 2004, article stated that Susan, Mandy's mom, looking at every possibility, and I'm sure, like, as a mom, you were looking at every single thing that you can do to help find out what happened to her. So she decided to speak to the famous psychic medium, Carla Barron.
Okay.
Who has worked. So Carla is just very famous, has worked a lot of famous cases and worked along with the FBI and such, but she had worked on cases like John Benet Ramsey, the Zodiac Killer, and more. So there were several high profile. So Mandy's mom evidently, talked to Barron, agreed to talk to her on the phone, and Carla could tell, Susan a lot of details that nobody else knew. So Susan did feel confidence in Carla, and she did continue to talk to her. It said that she told the family part of a name of the killer.
Really?
And stated that Mandy was pulled over by someone pretending to be law enforcement. So that's what Carla told Susan, that yes, it was someone pretending.
All my senses are pointing to that.
Mm-hmm. And and I don't know, obviously it did not say what this name was. I'm sure they're keeping that kind of thing close to the chest and such. And again, this is an ongoing thing. So this is an ongoing file.
Wow.
So likewise in 2006, so Court TV has a show, Haunting Evidence, that did cover Mandy's case. And this show is kind of where 3 psychics work on unsolved cases. That's kind of the premise of the show. I could not find the show.
I want to watch that show.
I know.
That sounds interesting.
I looked everywhere. I looked on, how sometimes you can look on Amazon and purchase like an episode or whatever, it is not there. It did say that perhaps it was on Plex channel or something.
I've never heard of that.
I don't know. And then
it's called Haunting Evidence.
It's called Haunting Evidence, and they did, and it was their first season, and it was episode 3. So if anyone, can locate that. But I did try. I looked on now. The YouTube channel had some other Haunting Evidence shows, some of these other shows, but they did not have that one up there. So basically, no one had uploaded that one. But it did say one of the psychics. They came to Arkansas. They actually came to Arkansas, and they traveled the same roads. That they came in March, but evidently it was very similar conditions because typically March is rainy and such.
Yeah.
And they said,
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Oh, they just said the killer took opportunity and impersonated, or they felt like they were impersonating a cop. And they said that they could see someone put something over Mandy's mouth, like a cloth or something. Like something. So people were kind of speculating, or they were speculating, like, was Mandy, killed by chloroform? Like, what did the person, like, because there was just there was no physical, like, I think that manner of death was determined to be suffocation or drowning, but there was nothing definitive there. And yes, you can drown without the water in your lungs or whatever, but her death was also kind of left a little bit open, like as in undetermined. It was homicide, but it was kind of left undone. I will say, this is my question. So if truly chloroform was used or something, does that show up in toxicology? That's
what I was sitting here Googling. It's so funny. We have the same questions, but because I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
I know we have some people that listen to us that do that kind of thing for a living. Okay. So if you do know that accurately, we can Google it, but let us know. Yeah. I really want to see that show. I really do. But I do too. That was a really weird time for television, because I remember I used to be on TV. I used to be on the news shows because I worked for the police department here, and so I can't find any of mine ever because it was before everything was on the social media, but it was after VHS, so nobody taped anything, and so like shows that were in that 2006, 7, 8 time period, they're gone.
They're just gone.
I mean, but I mean, maybe somebody out there VHS taped it, but we'd like to see it if somebody has it.
Yeah. If anybody has it or can find it, let us know. And definitely, if someone out there in the medical field would know, does chloroform show up in toxicology? That's a big question. I have in my notes, I'm like, question mark. So I don't know.
So, okay, back up.
And this is all coming from the psychic. And there's more.
The autopsy. The autopsy said drowning was the manner of death.
Well, it was
but no water in the lungs?
It was kind of undetermined. So there was water in her nostrils, no water in the lungs. They felt like it was definitely homicide, but I don't think they put a definitive thing. They can put undetermined as far as manner of death, unfortunately. And I hate that because that happened on my mother's. But anyway, that can happen. So it wasn't conclusive because they really don't know how she officially died. Like, was she smothered? I mean, she was either smothered, suffocated. There wasn't any indication of strangling, though. There wasn't anything like that.
Okay, so another question. Go back to the Coke can. You said the Coke can was still cold when they got there?
It was still cold. So he would have found her car around 2:30, probably. 2 or 2:30. Because remember,
and it was June.
It was June. And it was a cool... Now, I will say... it is July today, and it was cool outside because of the rain. I'm wearing a
sweater right now in a little cubby hole that I podcast in.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool day. People were wearing jackets today, even during the day. So this was at night. This was at night. It had been raining, and I don't know. I would love to do that. I'll kind of do that experiment, but myself and leave out.
Yeah, do that.
Like half drunk Coke or whatever and see how long it takes to get warm. But it was cool. It was still quite cold. That was something mentioned.
So if she went to the gas station, pulled it out, pulled it out of one of those bins, remember that they used to have with the ice, and you just pulled the Coke out. Do you remember those little circle things?
I do.
And you just pulled it out of the ice.
I do.
I bet
I had forgotten about those.
That's what just came to my mind.
Your hand gets all cold and wet.
I think, I don't know when they took those out. Was it the pandemic or before? I don't know. I haven't seen those in forever. But back in the 90s, you just went to the gas station, pulled out a Coke out of one of those big old round ice things, and, went on. So, did anybody check her gas? I mean, had she stopped for gas? Nobody knows?
It wasn't mentioned.
Okay.
So there was just a lot of, even on Reddit, there was just kind of some speculation about like where that Coke came from. If it came from Matt's, if it came from there's not a lot of people said there wasn't a lot of places in between Jonesboro and Dell. So if she did stop, it had to be right after she left Matt's.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been, too far along. And she was halfway there, and she left at 11:30. So let's just say it was midnight when she got out of that car. But, so let's just say it was maybe 11:45 when she got the Coke, and it was still cool at 2 something. So, yeah.
That is interesting.
It is very interesting. So, okay. So more about this. This is still on the episode. So the psychic said that they saw, quote unquote, someone put something over Mandy's mouth. They speculated it was the chloroform. They said that the killer lived close by, and it said the psychic actually gave instructions to the killer's house. This is what it said from that show, and that the killer at the time was a white male, 20 to 30 years old, with light brown hair. And they gave enough information to give a composite sketch of the person.
Do they show it?
No,
on the
I couldn't find it. The podcast that mentioned all this couldn't find it. And of course, the people that, because I listen to several podcasts and articles for my research, and they could not find the actual show, and obviously not the sketch, because I'm sure the show may have actually showed the composite. So again, if anyone can get that, and I'm sure law enforcement might be keeping all of this very close to the chest. So I really can't blame them. Again, open case file. So maybe I pray we find out one day and get a closed case because it's solved. So
what about DNA? Nothing was found?
A lot of what was said about, the DNA was just how much water was involved, and that the amount of water really made any type of. Now they did. I'll get to this soon. Okay, so you're jumping ahead, lady.
I just have so many questions.
You're intrigued. I know.
Yeah.
So several articles and podcasts allude Amanda's case to another case, the Dana Stidham murder. So now, yes. So Dana's crime, and in fact, one of the podcasts I listened to was actually called "The Murder of Amanda Tusing and Dana Stidham." They put them together in one episode. Wow. Yeah. So Dana's crime was committed 5 hours away in Northwest Arkansas, which, is completely separate area from where Mandy was. And it happened in 1989. And they did find, now the similarity here is they found Dana's car, and then several days or weeks later, I couldn't determine which one, found her body, because I really didn't dive deep into Dana's situation. But so they found her car, then they found her body, dumped. But law enforcement really didn't think the two corresponded because they felt like they knew who killed Dana. They had a very good suspect. Evidently, it was according to the show I listened to, it said a classmate of hers that was obsessed with her or something. So it was kind of one of those deals where they knew who did it. They just did not have the proof, quote unquote, to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt in Dana's case. So I felt like that was definitely, we're talking 11 years difference and 5 hours difference. So really and I felt like Sandra Williams was closer to Mandy's, but Sandra Williams happened in White County in 1987. So hers, and I do very much feel like in Sandra's case, it was one of those where they felt like they knew and were just trying to prove it as well. So I really feel in both of those cases, the Dana and Sandra, that I would think they're not related to Mandy's, just because I do feel like they had a clue. You know what I'm saying? Right. It was just sadly, in a lot of these cases, law enforcement knows, but they just can't prove it. And that's where you have to wait on the DNA. You have to wait for someone to slip up. And I hate to say that. You have to wait for them to slip up. So again, Sandra's case was in 87. I feel like it was closer than Dana's to Mandy's, but evidently the people that were doing this research didn't even know about Sandra's, because Sandra's didn't come up. But Sandra's is very much in line with Dana's, So the sad part is, how many of these poor, missing, murdered women are there? I don't know.
There's somebody said on our Facebook yesterday, I think, that there are over 500 cold cases in Arkansas. 500.
It's sickening. I mean, you've got so many. And right off my head, I can think of that Ebby Stepik in Little Rock. You've got Morgan Nick. Oh, my goodness. You've got so many. Anyway, it's sickening. So, okay. So K8 posted an article. They posted an article in June of 23. So this was just a year ago, that the Craighead County Sheriff's Department had recently, at that time, dedicated a full-time detective to Mandy's case.
Oh, wow. That's good.
That's awesome.
That's really good.
So, yes. That detective was, of course, like fully fresh. So a whole set of fresh eyes, that he was going over it with a fine-tooth comb, going back through everything, going back through interviews and everything.
Hopefully going back and looking at, people who had been arrested for pulling people over,
Yes.
Yeah.
And they definitely did look. They said that they had looked in Missouri, Tennessee, close. They had looked at all of the crimes in that time frame to see if there were any similarities.
I would definitely look to see if anyone has been arrested in the Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee area that had been arrested for pulling someone over and faking being a police officer or whatever. I would look at those people as suspects, especially if they meet if they were anywhere between 16 and 60 at that time period, 16 and 70. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Ugh.
I mean, that's what I would do.
It's crazy.
I would look at anyone who'd been arrested for that. Because there have been people arrested for that in the last, 25 years.
And it said that they definitely looked at any similarities, any and all. But they did say this detective. So, sadly, Mandy's mom, Susan, passed away in 21.
Oh, no.
But the police were working closely with her father, Ed, and then her brothers. So, her brothers and her father still there, still working with the police, still hopeful. And it said that Chief Deputy Rolland, he said that they were doing everything in their power to find out what happened to Mandy. And this was just a year ago. So I really pray we'll be hearing stuff. So
yeah, definitely.
So for our listeners, biggest thing is, if you know any information, no matter how small you think it is, regarding Mandy's case, please contact the Craighead County Sheriff's Office, and the phone number is 870-933-4551. And
we'll put all that on Facebook and all that as well.
Yes, and definitely, obviously I hadn't heard of this, but if you live in that area and you know any little thing, definitely reach out. So kind of the most memorable thing to me when I was doing my research, like I said, there was an interview with Ed, and he was, tearfully discussing how at the time of Mandy's murder, everyone had tied a yellow ribbon around their trees in his community, just like the song. He mentioned the song, tie a... I don't know how that goes, but anyway, he said that there were
Tony Orlando song. I think.
Oh, okay. I don't know. But he did say there were so many ribbons that all the ribbon in the whole Mississippi County were sold out. It was so very touching to see him talk about that. And Mandy, and really this poor family just deserves closure and justice. And I really pray that they get it, because in my head, so we're going to wrap up, but like, so here's my thinking, Amber. I'm struggling with this one because there's no sexual assault. There's no theft. There's no like bodily harm to her. You know?
Yeah. It's a real mystery.
It is so, because the blue light rapist, you know, he had, what is this motive? You know, the motive of the blue light rapist was, you know, to sexually assault them. And in fact, he didn't even kill them. He, you know, made it a point to not kill them, you know? And he never even like hurt, quote unquote, them. He hurt them, but he assaulted them, but he did not physically beat them or hurt them. And so, and like with Sandra Williams, she was stabbed to death.
Right.
Like she was stabbed to death.
And that's a good point. I mean, yeah, it mirrors the Sandra case up until the manner of death. And yeah.
And so Sandra's was very personal.
Grisly.
And very pointed.
Awful.
But this is very, very interesting. It's like, why would you kill her? Why would you kill this girl? Just for fun? Just to maybe suffocate her a little? Or, I mean, this person didn't really do much to her. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that we know of.
That they could tell. Like, nothing. There were nothing. So it's like, what was this motive?
Yeah. Sometimes the motives, to me, are just the strangest parts of these cases. You know, I mean, just figuring out the why. What is the why here? I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
I want to hear from, I read a lot of Reddits and a lot of people, even though, you know how people do, they were really...
Reddits have a lot of junk, but you can also get a lot of interesting information from Reddit
it's
too. I read them all the time.
It's interesting. And a lot of them were just really thinking someone that knew her. My feeling is, like, I wonder, I mean, I know that they looked into, obviously, her fiance, but it's like, who else did they look into? Like, who else knew Mandy? You know what I'm saying? It's just interesting. Or if there really was a serial killer, what was there another woman out there with no clear motive? You know, it's just weird. It's just weird.
Know. It's like
this is a weird one.
I know. There have been so many, and and somebody basically, you know, told me that, you know, when I put that website up there on the Facebook page yesterday, and I was like, oh, here's a big list of all the cases, and they're like, there's a bunch missing. I mean, I guess they're
not comprehensive.
It's not comprehensive. No, somebody said at the end of that string of messages that there are over 500 cases. Yeah, and I wish there was some way we could put them all together, look at them, and see which ones, you know, ones match up. Yeah, I mean, think about that. Over 500 cases in the last however many years. That's a lot of cases.
It's
Lisa.
A lot of cases.
It's a lot of cases. And you can't tell me that some of them aren't connected in one way or another.
It's wild. I mean, it's sad and it's horrific. And anyway, so this was
and if they're not connected, then there's a lot of weirdos running around our state. And that's even scarier. If there's 500 cold cases, that means there's 500 murderers that are running around or have been. So that's an even scarier thought right there.
It is. And it's true.
I haven't thought of it like that, have you?
It's true. I mean,
makes me want to run in there and lock my door right now.
Yes, always. Always lock your doors, people.
Definitely.
So anyway, so that is all I have for this week, and just please,
so
people,
interesting.
Let us know. Let us know your thoughts.
I definitely want to keep up with this one. Like, I mean, like you said early on, we are this girl's age. She is part of our generation, our Arkansas generation. We're like baby Gen Xers, you know, early like elder millennials. It's our generation, being a teenager in the late 90s, early 2000s, that puts us all together in one little group, right? And so I definitely want to know what happened to her. And I hope that someday someone either comes forward or there's some evidence that can point to someone. But I think the fact that the police office, that law enforcement has opened up the case or put somebody on it full time or whatever, I think that that's very promising. I think that's a good thing. Maybe we'll see something new pretty soon.
I pray so. Oh, yes, definitely. For all of these cases.
Yes.
So there's so many sad ones. But yeah.
Okay, so that's it. That's all we have. And
so
the next episode is going to be we talk over each other way too much. The next episode is going to be number 46, which is part 2 of the Phantom Killer of Texarkana. We're going to have to do a ghost story after this because we've done way too many of these.
I've got one
cold
that
cases.
I'm going to do.
Okay, good, because we need a break for ghosts. We need like every once in a while. I'm like, break for ghost stories because too much murder, So
the murder is the scariest part.
It is. I have absolutely no. I go to bed just fine after we do a ghost story. It does not bother me one bit. It's when we do one of these that I sit up at night and I'm just like, oh my gosh, It's people I'm scared of, not ghosts.
I know.
Yeah. So we do need a ghost story. So if anybody's got a good one, send it to us. You know how to get to us. So yeah,
we'll always throw in a ghost story. So
we need to do a listener story episode. We haven't done one of those in months. So if you have your very own ghost story that happened to you,
and we have a few to input already. So
we do have some in the bank. So we need a few more listener stories, and you can send those to our email. You can send those to our Facebook message, but email's better because we can keep them, organized a little better.
unexplainedArkansas@gmail.com.
Yes. So if you want us to read your story, and we can do it anonymously or use your first name, then just send it to us. And we will definitely look at that. So, got anything else, Lise?
So, nope. Just you guys need to buy a shirt, join Patreon, follow us on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. There you go.
Sounds great. All right. Thank you for listening to Unexplained Arkansas. We will see you again really soon. Bye. Love ya.
Bye.